So, how people find your learning content in Oracle Learning Cloud is very important. And Oracle has given you some flexibility in how that happens and what that looks like, and some of the options that you can give people as far as how they go ahead and find content. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. Let's go ahead and sign in as a learning specialist, and we're going to go over to the administration area of Learning Cloud. I'm going to click on My Client Groups and come down here to Learning. And once again, as long as you have all the right permissions and the right roles, you should be able to do this. And then we're going to go over to the Setup area. Once again, the Setup area is this global area that affects pretty much every aspect of Learning Cloud. And we're going to go over to the Self-Service tab, which is the very last one in the top row. And what we're going to be focusing on is this top area here. And these are some checkboxes that give us options as far as how people search for content, search for courses, search for instructor-led events and things like that. And by default, a lot of times these checkboxes are checked. At least by the time you get to using the system, these checkboxes are checked. But what if you didn't want all these options? Or what if you didn't want the whole browse option to be available? And a lot of times people don't even know that they can make these adjustments. So here, we're going to take a look at what it looks like from an employee with all of these options turned on, right? So we have a browse option that's part of the catalog and part of the searchability of the system. And we have featured learning, highest rated, and categories as it relates to how you can browse if you're not looking for anything specific. So these are all turned on. Let's go ahead and go back over to the main menu, and let's go over to the Learning Cloud area and see what this looks like by default when everything is turned on. I'm going to click on Me, and I'm going to go over to Learning, and this is what we're talking about right here, this area right here, right? So having those checkboxes turned on, you now have this button that says Browse Catalog. This search box here, that is always going to be there. However, when you click on the Browse Catalog, it gives you an opportunity to go ahead and take a look at courses that are featured, which when you set up a course, you can check a box that highlights whether or not that's a featured course or not, a course that you want to stress if somebody's just browsing the Learning Cloud area. Highest rated, so it'll show the most popular, the courses that people are giving the best feedback on, and then any other categories that you choose to set up as it relates to your courses within Learning Cloud. So if I drop these down, this is a leadership category that, and you can see them all, but leadership category that you set up these categories, and then you can organize your courses within these categories. Same thing, new starter category, and you can make up whatever categories you want, or pandemic awareness category, right? And work from home, essential workers, things like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and close these. And let's click on Featured Learning. So Featured Learning then takes you over to this screen where it gives you a list of courses that you are stressing. So that working from home, basic setup, that's featured, or health and safety in the office, that's featured. These are the ones that you have deemed very important, and anybody that's just like, let's just say, shopping and looking for some courseware to complete for whatever reason, maybe it's part of their development plan, or maybe it's part of their goal set, or whatever it might be. This is one way that you can help highlight some of the more important courses that if they haven't taken these, they could. It's going to go ahead and click back, click on Browse Catalog again, and let's click on Highest Rated. All right, so these are courses that have been organized and put forth as far as any course that somebody has given feedback on. Feedback with stars and anything else. So the ERP and finance course, or ERPM I should say, in finance course. Evidently that's the highest rated course in this particular learning cloud. And then corporation and the cloud enables growth course. So this is the second highest. And if you wanted to go ahead and change any of these, highest to lowest, or titles, A to Z or Z to A, you certainly can go ahead and do that. But this helps people make choices as far as where they're going to spend their time when they go ahead and browse the system. Let's go ahead and click back. And then last but not least, we've already explored the categories. If I click on any one of these, like emerging leaders, right from here, what's going to happen is it is going to take me to the emerging leaders catalog. So we have a learning catalog, and these are the courses that are identified in the catalog. All right. Now, let's say you didn't want to give your employees these browse options, because some of the feedback that I've gotten in the past several months has been this browse catalog button is confusing because people get this confused with the search button. And it takes a little time to get used to the way this search field works. But a lot of times people start typing in here. Let's say we'll type in leadership, right? And then if they're not aware, sometimes they go ahead and click on the browse button, and they just get confused because a lot of times they see this as a search button, right? And let's say you didn't want them to go ahead and peruse or browse for whatever reason, or you're not setting your system up that way. You know, how do we remove this button? Can we remove this button? The answer is yes. So let's go back over to the main menu here. All right. So once again, we're going to go back to my client groups, and we're going to click on learning. This takes us back to the administrative area. Click on setup, self-service. We're going to click on edit. And now we can either be very specific as far as how we want them to browse. So let's say we didn't want, or we haven't created categories, so we don't want that. Let's say that you're not encouraging your employees to rate courses. Okay, take that off. And let's say you just wanted feature learning. So there are a few courses that you are stressing from time to time, month to month, quarter to quarter, whatever it might be, and you do want to allow people to browse by featured learning in case they're unsure of what they want to learn in that moment. So we've deselected these, and let's go ahead and keep that one selected, and we're going to go ahead and click on save. And let's see what that looks like. So let's go back over to the home area, and here we go. And then we're going to click back over to me, and then learning. Now this time, when we click on the browse catalog button, it only takes you to featured learning. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even give you any choices because it's the only one. So when you click on it, it takes you over to featured learning because that's the only box that you checked. So you can be very specific as far as how you want people to browse the catalog, and these are the ones, once again, that your organization may be stressing. All right, let's click on back. Now, let's say this whole browse concept is not your cup of tea for whatever reason, and you want to turn it off completely. You don't want people to be confused because this sometimes is confused with a search button. So how do we go ahead and turn that off? So let's go back to the main menu here, my client groups, and it's as simple as this. Go back to learning and setup and self-service. Click on edit. And instead of deselecting all of these, it doesn't really matter. Let's keep that one selected. Just disable the browse button altogether. By clicking in Disable Browse, you now are going to remove that button, at least from view. All right, let's see what that looks like now. Okay. Back to Me and Learning. And voila, no browse button. So the only way that they can find courses that aren't sitting in my current learning or sitting in the communities that I'm part of or anything like that, or what to learn, or even overdue and required. These are other areas that you can get to your courseware. But if I'm just looking for something, or my manager has encouraged me to go ahead and find a course on, let's say, time management or something like that, I can then go ahead in here and start searching, right? Now that doesn't mean that featured learning isn't part of this drop down or anything like that, or recent items. It still is, but it's not part of the browse button, right? So let's say I type in time, 12 guidelines of effective time management. I can go ahead and click on that, and it takes me directly to the course. Now, one other thing I do want to point out, which people ask me all the time, is they're like, what happened to the search screen that allows me to use the facets on the left-hand side and things like that? Where did that go? That's been a recent change, and it's really important to know that you have this advanced search link. I've myself have given Oracle some feedback to say you need to take this out and put that as a button right here, because people are used to looking for a search button. So having that browse button and an advanced search button would be very helpful, because when you click on the advanced search, it takes you to this screen, and a lot of employees like to search from this screen. At least after they put in their initial search. So if I put in time and I click search, it's initially going to give me all the courses that deal with time. But then if I want to say, well, I really want to take a look at a specific course or a specialization. Are there any specializations around time? And there's some specializations that deal with time, or I'm just looking for a particular course. And that's the power of these facets, right? So here's this course, and what if I wanted to be very specific as far as I don't want the garbage courses, I want the good courses, people that are given 4 stars and up. Well, there aren't any. That doesn't mean they're all garbage. That just means that people haven't rated any of those. So I'm going to click clear. Right? And let's say I wanted, I'm not real good with online courses. I wanted, a instructor-led course about time. And I have these choices as well: how to speak in front of crowds, writing for results. These still have the keyword time in them, and things like that. So this advanced screen hasn't gone away. It just, to get to it, you have to actually click onto this, or click the down on arrow and then click on advanced search. We've covered a lot of things, but ultimately you have full control as far as how you want your employees to browse, whether you want the browse button there or not, and then when they click on the browse button, what happens.